Hi, my name is Yutaka. Welcome to my channel. I like to talk all things TV and film. And today I'm really excited because it's kind of a mixture if you think about it. I've got a review for Late Night with the Devil. And I know what you're saying. You're like, dude, you're a little bit behind. I get that. I get that. But I was finally able to see it and I kind of want to talk about it. So this film is a 2023 release. Well, it's a 2023 film that's now released, currently in theaters and coming to Shudder on April 19th. So if you didn't get your chance to see it in theaters, you can catch it streaming. Now, this was written and directed by Cameron and Colin Cairnes. I hope I'm saying the names right. I do apologize. And it stars David Dastmalchian, Laura Gordon, Ian Bliss, Fayssal, Bazzi, and honestly, who really kind of steals the show, Ingrid Torelli. And the premise of the film is it now while it's simple, because is it's a 1970s late night talk show that goes to hell in this fiendish horror thriller. And one of the things that right off the bat I'm going to tell you, I love the vibes. It is honestly shot and I'll like you are actually watching this late night talk show happen. So you've got the look, you got the feel of late night 70s. Also, I should tell you too, this does take place on Halloween. And you also get a little bit of lore too. That will come back around in the story. And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, that's kind of one of like the maybe a bit of a downfall for me because the lore just didn't work in a sense, as I really just loved focusing on this entire late show because you do beginning to end in a sense. So you've got an opening monologue, you've got guests that are coming on, a co-host. It is so wild that why I don't maybe to me this was a new premise in terms of this. And it I think they pull it off very well. You've got again like same thing when they call cut, it's still rolling for them. And so we're seeing those moments in between takes of, either bickering with a studio head because you're worried about ratings, or, oh my God, something just happened. I think that's going to make our ratings jump. Right. And it's wild. You've got also one of the guests is basically a psychic that kind of goes oury in a sense. Um, and it was still good though. And you've got your skeptic who doesn't believe in any of this. And then you've got your possessed girl, Lilly, and the demon or entity, Mr. Wiggles. And I love the reason. I'm not gonna give too many. I don't want to give spoilers, but I do love the reason why he's called Mr. Wiggles. And then of course you've got June Ross Mitchell. That's kind of the person who is, this researcher doctor who believes in this stuff and has been working with Lilly to kind of bring out and be able to control Lilly in a sense, or the demon, the entity, to where she can learn more about it and just see the product of, also really what was Lily's environment where she grew up. And then you've got Jack Delroy, played by the incredible David Dastmalchian. And I have to give him credit because he does such a great and effective job throughout this entire movie. I'm a huge fan of the actor, and because I really feel he gets into character, and I truly felt he was this struggling late night host just trying to get a win, and because of that he was willing to go to these depths to get that win. I loved it. I really did love that part. Like the performances, honestly, more than the story, I loved the performances. And in fact, I'll even talk about Ingrid Torelli, who plays Lilly. She truly is the standout of this film. There are parts when you do get to see the possession or the demon come out, Mr. Wiggles, and just some of the physicality that she has, even when she's like strapped in a chair, and the way she moves, and it just works so well. And it kind of reminded me of the Last Exorcism of Emily Rose. Now, it wasn't to that physicality of Jennifer Carpenter, but I kind of felt like I was on the precipice of seeing something like that. And that really just made me giddy, because I love horror, but I really enjoyed seeing that. And then I gotta also give it to Rhys Auteri, probably just butchered his last name, who plays Gus McConnell, and that is his co-host. I would say, the voice of reason in this movie. And what a great guy, though. He really cares for Jack. He really cares for the show, but he's also like, no, this is effed up. We need to stop. We need to cut, wrap, let's go. I really, really enjoyed that. There was at least somebody there who just seemed like such a good person, and was like we can't go on. Because honestly, for me, I'd be the same way. I'm like, actually, I wouldn't even be there. I would have just walked off set. I'd be like, peace. So I really enjoyed that we had all these different characters within this confined TV episode. And again, like I said, there is some lore that they give you, beginning and end. I could have done pretty much without some of that, because I just don't think it really is necessary. To me, it doesn't work as well as when we are just focused on what's going on within this TV studio. And I will tell you, I'm not a fan of exorcism or possession films, just because trauma. Because I saw The Exorcist at 6, and it's stuck with me ever since. So that's just me. That's just me. So I'm always very tense during these types of films. So I was like white knuckling it throughout most of the film. And I will say that this film has a really great first and second act. Like, it is like, I think the pacing to me is great, and I think it builds up the tension. And I mean, when it hits, it is just running at full speed, and it is so good. And then the third act hits, and you're like, oh yes, this is incredible, because it really, like, it becomes unhinged. Things go horribly quickly several times. And when I say several times, I'm not talking deaths. You just have to see it to believe it, because I loved what the filmmakers did with this. It was really, it was so good. Because I gotta call out that skeptic. He comes into play quite a bit, and I really enjoyed that. And I was like, oh my God. And then when I thought it ended, I was like, wow, this could have been a great movie. Could have been great. I would have loved it. However, then they add 15 more minutes. And those 15 minutes, to me, minus the final shot, because I did love the final shot. That was great. But those 15 minutes, I just don't know if it worked. I think it really kind of took away from everything we just saw for the most part. It really took away, because we were at a 10 in terms of like, oh my God, like, anxiety, panic, all this. And now you just brought me back down to like a 3. And you still giving me like 10 to 15 minutes of film. I didn't like that. It didn't work. Now, this isn't one of those things where I would say it just kills the movie completely. Absolutely not. That last 10 minutes does not take away everything I've watched before, because I really was invested with the characters, the story, the performances, also like the set. I really enjoyed this. Like, this is a low budget indie horror. Well, I wouldn't say low budget. It's an indie horror, because it was backed by some, Shudder and IFC. So you can tell there was some money there. But it's an independent horror film. And yes, I know about the AI images, and not a fan of that, but I've seen them address it as well, and I'll take that into consideration. However, all of that being said, though, I still really enjoyed this movie. I didn't love it because of that ending, but I enjoyed it. I loved, I loved the ride, but I enjoyed the film overall, because I thought it was very, very effective. Because one thing too, when it comes to horror, I think a good horror film is something that sits with you, something that stays with you, makes you uncomfortable. You don't need gore, which though this has, and I did enjoy it, but you don't need gore. You don't need jump scares. You just need a premise. You just need something that just like peers into your soul, in a sense. But you know what I mean? Like it's like it gets under your skin and just festers. That is horror to me. That is something that I love. And there, I will say, this is not really so say a spoiler, but there is the way that Lilly and the way Ingrid just plays her is really great. But there are moments throughout the entire movie to where she is constantly following the camera. And Jack even tells her, "Oh, you don't need to look into the camera. There's cameras all over the place. It will grab." But she will still, on the camera they're focusing on, she will just keep looking. And I'm not saying like, oh, she does a full head spin. No, she just is so like intent staring. And honestly, as the audience, I felt uncomfortable and I felt she was like seeing me like leaning, like it was so good. Like that was effective. And it was simple, but I loved it, you know? So again, this movie had so much going for it that I would have been like, wow, I really loved it. But then I think of those last 15 minutes, I go, damn it. But I do think it's still a good film. I really enjoyed it. If I were to give this a rating, I would, and I might probably be one of the ones who gives it on the lower side, but I'd give it a 3 out of 5, which is a good film. Um, I I want to give it more, but then I again I focus on those last 10 to 15 minutes. So I pretend they don't exist. Uh, and if that, then I'd probably give this like a 4. But those last 10, 15 minutes really detracted from what I just sat through. It didn't ruin it by any means. God, no. Like then you would have saw, I would have been angry. Um, but it didn't ruin what I sat through. And I fully stand by it. Like it was great to see this horror film where, I mean, the performances were key as well. And again, the premise, I loved it. I thought it was unique. And the way they pulled it off, very well done. So overall, yeah, I would give this a 3 out of 5. But hey, that's my review. How about if you've seen this? Let me know. Comment down below. What did you think of the film? Have you seen it, or are you waiting until it hits Shutter? If you haven't seen it, what are you most excited about? And until next time, guys. Bye.